So welcome everybody to our webinar, We All Live by the Sea. I would like to welcome our panelists. I would like to welcome Mark Hardiman, Gerard Hernd, Izabela Kotyńska-Zielińska, Anka Maria Panet, Tymon Zieliński, and Katarina Zwarikowa. I'm really glad that you decided to create this project together. We will be talking about many aspects today. We all know that sustainability is a very important topic, that water plays an enormous role in today's world. And this is the first event from this maybe series of events. Let's hope for that. And yes, I'm really happy that you all decided to come. And I think the floor is yours, Tymon.
Thank you very much, and we would love to thank the Austrian Culture Forum in Warsaw for cooperating with us, you, Anya, and Gudrun for letting us do it. Very quickly, we will go through three, let's say, inspiring lectures, short ones, about the idea of why we gathered in this group of people here. And then we'll have a panel that I'll be happy to moderate for you all. And I'm sure there is going to be a lot of interesting stuff going on during the next 90 minutes. So if Anya, could you please let my presentation be visible? We all live by the sea. I'm from the Institute of Oceanology, Polish Academy of Sciences. Why we all live by the sea? What does it mean? And why it is an issue in general? If we can switch the slide for the next one. Yes, the ocean, 70% of our planet, that's the ocean. So we are talking about the blue planet. We go to the beach. Those who are close to the beach, then you can go and see like the endless ocean, so to speak. We have this perception that we have unlimited amount of water. We have still areas of the ocean that we have unexplored. That's our perception. For centuries we've been living in this sort of a bubble that we think that the ocean is endless. It's unexplored, which is true, but it's not endless. It covers vast amount of the surface of our planet. But if we switch the slide, please, then we learn something like that as a matter of fact, the slice of water is just a real slice. The average depth of the ocean, that means that 70% of our planet, it's around 4 kilometers. This is not even the right scale on the right side where you have the cross section of our planet, because this water it's a very thin slice in this cross section, but it's even much less. The radius of the planet is, as you can see, 6,371 kilometers roughly, and we're talking about an average depth of 4 kilometers. That means that we have as a matter of fact, we have very little water to use. And if we talk about fresh water, then we're talking about a fraction, invisible fraction compared with the ocean. So as a matter of fact, we have very limited water resources on our planet. It's not endless, it's not unexplored fully, it's just very thin layer of water that we have really, it's our obligation to take care of on every day activity. And if we can switch the slide, please. Oops, disappeared. Yes. So one more suggestion that we have to take really serious care of our attitude towards the ocean is that, please notice, everybody, more or less, everybody wants to live by the ocean. The change between 1950 and 2020 in terms of the number of people that want to live by the ocean, people who migrate and settle down by the ocean, increased dramatically. It's we don't see numbers here, but at the moment, it's estimated about 60% of the human population lives in a widely understood coastal area. That means like plus minus 60, 50 kilometers from the beach. 60% of us. And the rest of the populations are also using the ocean on different occasions, but as a matter of fact, on the daily basis. If we can switch to another one. Yes, we have people here from Austria, we have people here from Romania, Poland. Isabella and myself, we live by the Baltic beach. Anka lives in Constanta on the Black Sea, but we also have people from Vienna, we have people from the UK, we have people from Warsaw. But if you look at these two pictures, the catchment areas for the Baltic and catchment area for the Black Sea covers exactly all of our countries and regions. Please notice that even Slovakia is responsible to some extent for the Baltic, not to mention the Black Sea, and of course Austria is hugely involving mostly through the Danube River, the Black Sea. So our combination today at first may look sort of accidental, but no, we really thought about it very carefully, because yes, we all live by the sea, and I hope during this seminar we will talk about it, and you will see a lot of examples of how it works and why it is important that we all have this perception that we are all responsible for the ocean. And the last slide, please. At the end of the day, all of our activities influence the coastal zone, and this is a very complicated, in a sense, picture of the coastal zone, how important it is, how busy it is, and how affected by the human activities, inland human activities it can be. All the transport that is cheap, the cheapest transport of all the goods goes through the sea. So the coastal zone ports are the final destination for all the goods that we get, not only by the beach, but also in the inland cities and regions. Aquaculture, wind energy, tourism, not to mention fishing and many other activities. As you can see, it's all by the beach, so to speak. And then we have the influence of big rivers. The Baltic Sea itself receives more than 250 rivers. On every second, these rivers deliver fresh water into the Baltic. And it's up to us, because rivers go through vast regions, countries. It's up to us, wherever we live by the river, and there's always some settlements by the river. There's always industry located by the rivers. It's up to us if we pump with the river more or less okay water, because I'm not that optimistic that it's going to be fantastic water, but at least it's okay water. And at the end, it reaches the sea, the Baltic Sea or the Black Sea. And let's hope that we do understand that we are all responsible what's going on in this very important coastal zone. And I'll close my introductory presentation at this point, and I give the floor to Gerhard now.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'll try to share my screen. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I hope you can see it. And I'm basically being at the University of Vienna, professor in microbial ecology, microbial oceanography, and marine biology. And I will give a more global account on the biodiversity and the human use of the ocean. And when people from landlocked countries think about the ocean, they primarily think of the ocean as a recreational site with beautiful coral reefs, coral and then beaches, warm beaches for swimming, for recreation. But actually, what most people never see is the deep ocean and the organisms living in there. And here is an example from the Census of Marine Life, where I was participating when I was still in the Netherlands. And the Census of Marine Life, basically what the aim was to barcode all the living organisms in the ocean. So to make an inventory of the marine organisms. This project ran from 2000 to 2010 with 80 nations involved. And this resulted in a description of 122,000 new species described. And here are some examples of these new species which have never been described before. So there are a lot of really unknown species, a lot of unknown diversity in the ocean. And the role of the ocean is basically providing some ecosystem service, which is quite an anthropocentric terminology, but the ocean provides essentially essential influences, essentially the climate. It provides nutrition, like thinking of fisheries. It provides energy and nutrient sources. And it serves as recreation, as I mentioned and indicated already. And with all our human activities, this causes a lot of problems for the ocean, including warming of the ocean acidification. So it's getting more acidic, or goes towards acidic, towards a pH of 7 and below. It causes sea level rise, the warming. We have eutrophication problems. We are suffering from, or the ocean is suffering from overfishing and from deoxygenation. So it loses essentially with the warming also some oxygen content. And the ocean, as indicated here, took up a lot of the energy and a lot of heat what we release to the atmosphere because of fossil fuel burning. And this shows here, so the upper ocean took up most of the heat which we generated by the increase in the carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere, but also the deep sea took up quite a lot of the energy, of the heat energy. Basically, more than 95% of the heat which we generated by fossil fuel burning has been taken up by the ocean. Without the ocean's activity and the uptake of heat on the continents, it would be 35 degrees centigrade warmer than it is now. Just to give you a perspective how important it is, the ocean, to take up this heat. Otherwise, our planet would be not inhabitable anymore. And this shows sort of the increase in the red line, the increase in atmospheric CO2 concentration over from 58, where it has been, since then it has been mentioned or measured constantly at Mauna Loa, the big island of Hawaii. And the green line here, the green zigzag, shows near the increase in the pH of the seawater. So with the increase in CO2, there is also an increase in carbon dioxide in the surface waters, and at the same time, a decrease in the pH value. So the ocean is getting more acidic. And this has consequences for organisms, because it uses a lot of organisms have actually a calcareous skeleton. Think about the fish, the skeleton of the fish, or sea urchins, or mussels, and they will most likely all suffer from this decrease in the pH, this increasing acidification of the ocean. Another major aspect with the increase in carbon dioxide of the atmosphere is that we have more and more marine heat waves in the ocean. And this is particularly relevant, these heat waves, for coral reefs, for example, as indicated here. And we are now, this time, right at this time, we have the most severe coral bleaching event at the Great Barrier Reef. As indicated here, this is a coral skeleton devoid of any living tissue. So this will certainly slowly dissolving. And on the left-hand side, the upper panel, these white spots here, this is a picture taken from an airplane. All these white spots are dead corals, basically the calcareous skeleton of the corals. So this is a major threat. Another major threat is the problem with the fisheries. Actually, 98% of all the food which we consume is coming from agriculture, and nevertheless, we have overfishing. And why is that? This is because we are fishing actually the wrong things. While on land, in the agriculture, we consume essentially vegetables and cereals like rice, corn, and so on. So plants, and then if we eat meat, then we typically eat herbivores, so organisms feeding on plants. In the ocean, in contrast, so we are in agriculture, we are pretty much make our living from, and our food comes from the lower trophic levels, from plants and from herbivores, while in the ocean, we are harvesting tuna, pretty much top predators. And if we are catching fish at the high trophic levels, there is not really a lot of biomass available to be fished. Therefore, we have this overfishing problem. And you scale it down, we are harvesting every year like 100 million tons of fish globally from the marine environment. And this corresponds to 8% of the phytoplankton of the plant biomass in the ocean. With the same plant biomass, we could harvest not 100 million fish like tuna and salmon, but we could harvest, for example, like 4,000 million tons of, for example, mussels, which is another major protein source. So we could harvest 40 times more proteins if we would harvest lower trophic levels and not fish. So overall, we have quite some problems at the moment, or the oceans have quite some problems. One is the warming of the ocean, and this is now we are like about 0.5 degree centigrade on a global level above the temperature of last year, and last year it was already 1.5 degrees warmer than the year before. So we have a tremendous warming of the ocean on a global scale, and we have a retreat of the sea ice in the Arctic, which leads to sea level rise, for example. We have an El Niño effect at the moment, which causes here heavy rain in South America on the west coast and elsewhere as well. And we also might have a slowdown. These are strong evidence that we have a slowdown of the so-called thermohaline circulation. So the Gulf Stream is slowing down, and there are forecasts that like within 15-20 years, this circulation of water masses in the ocean would even cease and would stop. But nevertheless, I mean, there are initiatives like having marine protected areas where no human activity should be possible. And as you can see here, over the years, there is a substantial increase in marine protected areas, but nevertheless, we are just at around 7.6% of the ocean surface protected as and declared as marine protected areas, while we should be at 2030 at 20%, according to the United Nations targets. There are also more and more initiatives to basically reforest and basically replant organisms in the ocean, like coral reefs, seagrasses, for example, replanting seagrasses, like in the North Sea, for example, or mangroves. So there are initiatives basically exponentially growing over the years. So there is some quite some initiatives of restoring and rebuilding marine life. And with that, I want to close. So this is the basically the safe path for humanity. And here, where it goes into the red, we have a severe problem, like for the biosphere, like the diversity. The biodiversity is declining not only on land, but also in the marine environment. And we have like tropicalization of, for example, the Atlantic, where subpolar species are moving towards the north. The species living in the north are moving towards polar regions, and the polar species cannot escape anymore and will be replaced by other organisms. So thank you. And this is basically my presentation, and I pass on to
Mark Hardiman.
next speaker.
Thank you very much. And Anna, if you're just putting my presentation up, just introduce myself. I'm Mark Hardiman, one of the co-founders. Originally, we founded a company called Lap Water. We've just gone through a corporate restructuring and are now known as Aquas Technology, but we're using the same technology as we had before in the, you had it perfectly, Anna, at the start of the journey down into water. What I really wanted to do was just bring a slightly different perspective to some of the other presentations, that having worked in the private sector and been raising money, talking to investors to see what is the private sector view about water. And I've gone through one or several rounds of fundraising by now. And if you get next section.
1 second.
Okay. And as Timon said, we bear a lot of commonality in where we would be. Okay. We may differ about statistics. I'm being conservative. This is when you're fundraising, you're always conservative with your data. But between 40 and 60% of the world population lives by the sea, and Timon had a much nicer map which should explain that. But water is really vital for us. And we haven't touched on it, but 30% of the world's population live in water-stressed countries. And the definition of that is this technical UN definitions. But what it means is you turn your tap on and you might or might not get water, particularly in drought, years to come. We've seen even sophisticated countries suffering from major water shortages where you turn the tap on and water isn't available. There's talk about evacuating main cities because of water shortages. So water is vital for us. And one comment I've always made when talking to investors, which is quoted quite often, wars of the future are going to be over water. The next but one war is going to be over water. Unfortunately, the world seems to create a war before we get onto the water wars. But 21st century is going to face this crisis we've been talking about, which is not just drinking water, but access to the food chains. We've just been, Gerhard was explaining very accurately the impact and possibilities and resources of this. So yes, water is vital. And Anna, next chart, please. Unfortunately, I've been talking to a lot of financiers, and the money men haven't got the message. And I just pulled off, this is an example of where private sector, and there's talk in all the COP26 meetings, great thing, had it in the UK, it's going to mobilize resources. What happens? Private sector will give the money to make things happen. But do they? Some of you may know unicorn company. It's an American definition, but it's a company, startup company with a valuation of over $1 billion. These are the companies of the future, all the ones we use today, for Googles, Meta's, Facebooks, Tesla, were all these unicorn companies. They grow up. They're the ones that are going to change the world, in theory. To date, there's been about 1,200 unicorns across the world, which regrettably maybe half are in the US, and Europe is not so good about producing unicorns, but there's still several hundred in Europe. And over today, these companies have raised over $700 billion by venture capital into these companies, which are seen as the future of the 21st century. How many of them are in water? Less than 1%. There's, in fact, as far as I can research, only one unicorn dealing in the water industry. And I think this sends a catastrophic message, to the world about where financiers feel they want to be putting money to solve the problems that we face. And on the right, I just pulled off a chart of where money is being spent from venture capitals. Generative AI, big topic this year. Mobility, cars, challenger banks, AI chips. All of these are worthwhile. I'm not to say they're not worthwhile, but there needs to be attention brought to these financiers about doing something with water. So maybe next chart, Anna. There are reasons to be hopeful. And Gerhard highlighted and we're all aware of climate change. But I would conversely say, in some ways, climate change is an advantage. It brings the attention of people to what is happening in the climate and to water. And we saw in the news today, floods in China, really catastrophic for people there. But it brings, again, home that water and climate change are irretrievably mixed together. So raising the public profile and interest in water is one of the big reasons to be hopeful. So I'm not proposing the climate change would go to 3 degrees, 4 degrees. I'm saying let's hold it where it is, but it's a way of attracting attention, which is generating media coverage, companies like ourselves, new technology. We're trying to bring new technology, in our case, to cleaning water. And I'll just talk a little bit about it in a few minutes. But there is finally an interest in the financial markets beginning to recognize the true cost of water and the opportunities in the water sector for business. And if that investment flows into innovative water companies, that will help solve water shortages, will help everything from the reforestation of coastal areas. Why do we need mangroves? Let's get people interested in that. The opportunities and, money to be made from some of these initiatives. People will only put small amounts if it's seen as altruistic. There needs to be some form of a profit motive, being very crude, to mobilize the resources that are needed to solve water issues. So next slide, please. So we're part of that. What are we doing? The private resources exist around the world to do what is needed to help the water crisis facing the world. So we need to recognize the true value of water, I mentioned. Throughout an idea, I'm not quite sure how we do it, but some form of pricing for the use of the ocean. It's seen as just something for everyone to use, to send ships along without actually ever paying for the damage, the impact that is being done on that. There are moves that are happening in there, but thinking about, we talk about in cities, road pricing, maybe there should be a pricing for oceans. Generate a system where investments in water get a real return. And obviously, let's get a positive spin for water and oceans. Excitement. I say, make it an exciting technology. In Britain, where we talk to people about water, the scene is very boring. Water is just one of the utilities. You turn a tap and it comes on. So we need to get that excitement. And what I say is, previous chart, the big investment at the moment this year is going into artificial intelligence. Maybe let's try and make 2024 the year of water as being the investment to go into. So media attention will mobilize resources. Financiers are very fickle. They'll see what they see in the media, what the opportunities are. So that would be one message I'd like to give. The last couple of charts, I just talk briefly about a couple of projects we're doing, which maybe make a small impact on some of the areas where mentioned that Timon mentioned in his introductory speech. Anna, next chart, please. Bilge water, discharge water from ships. It's actually a major polluter. The EU has made many as a very good initiative to stop ships dumping bilge water. This is the water that seeps into the bottom of ships, that comes out also from cleaning. Beautiful ship there. You can see all the nasty black smoke coming out of it. Ships are supposed to clean their emissions from the air. That comes into the water scrubbing from the boilers. That gets discharged in too many cases. I believe there's more experts than me who would correct me on the data, but I've seen data that's over nearly 2 million tons of combined bilge water and scrubbing water being dumped into the Baltic per year. That's a horrendous number, if that's right. And the numbers worldwide are fantastic, the amount that's still being done. The EU is trying to restrict that, but let's get a technology that can do that. We're doing that. We evaporate in how let water now become aqueous function, using evaporative system, using waste heat. So we're going to tap into that heat going up the chimney of a ship. And we could recover 90% of the clean water from that bilge water. You get clean water to go back into the ocean rather than dumping dirty water. The concentrate you have to recover, but you discharge that when you come into port. So there are technologies solving things like this, the ocean discharges. Again, it's going to cost money, but get people mobilized to look at this. The EU is taking a very good initiative on it, but unfortunately too many people are still dumping bilge water in the Baltic, and let alone in the Pacific. And finally, and the last one, there's another project we just started in the UK dealing with shrimp farming, both applicable in salmon farming. Create inland aquaculture or coastal aquaculture creates a lot of, let's say, not particularly nice chemicals and discharges that go back into the oceans, into the rivers. For the farmers, it actually causes potential sickness and wiping out some of their fish or prawns that they're growing. The company we're working with in the UK is planning a major inland shrimp farm to really climate good. It's going to remove air freighting live shrimps from the Far East to Europe. But what we have, technology which cleans the water, kills off bacteria in parasites in that water. The concentrators are recovered, used for partly fertilizer, and the salt recovered for that can be used for de-icing. So it's an example, and I'd like to push that we're a great technology company, everyone should be involved with us. But what I really want to say is this is an example of where, with the right approach, you've got technologies that focus on water, focus on solving some of the issues, and mobilize the greater world to come and help us. So thank you very much indeed. And they're very welcome to have any questions and talk in the chat later. So pass you over to the next presentation.
Thank you very much. So Anya, do you have any other issues, or should I take over now?
No, you can take over.
Okay,
Now
so
we will move to the discussion.
right. Thank you very much. It's so unbelievably sad that at this time we're talking in Europe about going into the industrial wartime thinking about the economy rather than dealing with the solutions that Mark you showed. It's just amazing what's wrong with humanity, but it's a philosophical question, of course. We have now time for our discussion. I will share my slides with questions. Let me see. And of course, I cannot see the slides with questions now. And why is that? It's always an amazing experience to try to find something. Ah, here we go. So we scheduled 3 questions that we would like to discuss, and please write your questions or comments in the chat. Anya, if you could please follow the chat and we can act meanwhile. So the first question is, how would you rate the level of ocean awareness in your city, region, country? By ocean, we mean the sea and the ocean. By United Nations, now we're talking about one ocean. Of course, geographically speaking, we have different oceans, but it's a one ocean body. And with this question, I would like to start with maybe Katarina from Slovakia, because that could be an exciting story by you, Katarina. So, Slovakia, Žilina.
Hello, everyone.
How often do you talk about the ocean, and what do you talk about the ocean? What do you know about the ocean, or the Baltic, or the Black Sea?
Thank you, Timon. Well, on daily basis, but to introduce myself, hello, everyone. My name is Katarina Zvarikova, and I'm here for the organization called Slovak Equality. And to get back to your question, despite everyday talks on the street about the ocean, of course, we have it plunged in our Slovak curriculum, because I come from both worlds. I work for an NGO in a non-formal education, but I'm still part of the formal education as a school teacher. So, and I studied that as well. So I have sort of insights into both worlds. And we do have classes and specific topics about water systems, water preservance, how to treat it. We have water days. We celebrate International Day of Water. But what I feel is the lack of connectiveness. We have it as a separate topic. We have the agriculture, then we have the water systems, and we have the air systems. And it's really nice to teach the kids and to get the students into the information about the ocean literacy, and to get all the info on the parts of it, how to protect it. We all have it, but we miss the concept. We miss the part of the system thinking where we would have the opportunity to see ourselves as part of this system, and to see it as a part of our natural environment and the whole existence as it is on the planet. So this is where I feel that the non-formal education is taking the lead and trying to build this helicopter view, or this sort of ability to see it within the whole capacity, because we sort of feel the connectiveness to our water. Luckily, we are a country with vast resources of the fresh water, but it's not going to last for a long time. We also experience shortages, and we unfortunately became to this state when our lakes are drying up. So it has to become an urgent issue, but the connectiveness to the ocean is much less than we would really like it to be. So I believe this systems thinking and this sort of getting the whole perspective would be a way how to support the current curriculum that is now there, but very, very specifically carried out. But luckily, we are in the testing phase of our new curriculum, so the interconnectiveness is on the way. So that's hopefully also a vision for future education, at least in the formal areas.
So if a kid drops a plastic bottle on the street, and if you tell him or her, like, pick it up because you're destroying the Baltic, would they laugh at you, or there would be some sort of like,
Yeah, I think that this is the lack of the system,
of the view?
the systems thinking that we have, because we have the separate subjects. I believe it's in most of our countries that we have the separate subjects, and we don't really make the interconnectiveness. You have your 45 minutes, the math is completed. You have your 45 minutes for geography. So I don't think about the politic being connected to my city choices, for example. But luckily, we have a huge spectrum of NGOs taking lead in this action of awareness raising campaigns, as we do as Slovak Equality as well, and youth participation projects where the kids could get into the hands-on engagement activities where they can experience what it means to take these actions.
Did we lose Katarina? I'm afraid
I think so. Unfortunately, I think so.
If we don't consider the interconnectedness.
Okay, super. Thank you very much. We lost you for a moment, but we got the message. Gerhard, how would it be in Vienna? Like,
well, in Vienna and in Austria in general, I think I can talk about Austria in general because it's such a small country. Well, people are, or a certain fraction of people, and this is actually like, I would guess like maybe half of them, of the population, is aware of the problem of climate change, and also that the ocean is playing there a substantial role. I mean, in all kinds of media, like on TV, radio, but also in newspapers, in quality newspapers, there is this connection clearly established, and I'm quite often on radio and on TV and giving interviews to newspapers, highlighting essentially this how important the ocean is also for the climate in Austria. And so most of the people are quite aware that, I mean, there is this warming of the ocean, and this has also impacts on our weather, which is partly like Atlantic weather condition, and in the eastern part more continental, but nevertheless, I mean, the warming is definitely an issue also in terms of like tourism, because skiing in winter is becoming really a bit of a problem because I mean they generate like produce snow artificially, but you're having the skiing tracks, but left and right of the skiing tracks there is a green meadow. This is not what tourists expect, so there is quite an awareness actually. And the way people think of the sea here is really something like most of the people experience the sea more from the summer vacation. And this is quite in contrast to the Netherlands, for example, where I was working for a long time before, where no one is excited when you say that you are a marine biologist or an oceanographer. Because there you have the North Sea, which is not such a pleasant environment for swimming. And there you have the problem of like fisheries and overfishing and all these aspects. So you are more like in the middle of a conflict between the legislation and the fishermen. So there you have a completely different perspective of sea and scientists working in the ocean. But in general, like in Austria, people, although they know only the sea mainly from their vacation in summer, but they are quite aware on the role of the ocean also for our climate, for example, and also of overfishing and other aspects.
Okay, thank you, Isabella. You appeared on my screen, so would you give our Sopot Poland perspective?
Yes, of course. Hello, everybody. Maybe for the beginning, I'll introduce. I'm Izabela Kotyńska-Zielińska. I'm a founder of the Today We Have, a coordinator of the I Live by the Sea project, and an ocean literacy educator in Poland. And to answer your question, Timon, I would like maritime awareness in Poland to grow faster than the temperature of the oceans. It is better than the 80s and 90s due to the numerous documentaries that can be watched on Netflix, but unfortunately it is not sufficient. And during various workshops, I often came across students, children, and families who express views that are already very outdated. A good example is that the Baltic Sea is dead.
I'm sorry to cut in. This is an amazing story. We constantly battle the media and the myth about how dead the Baltic is. It's not even that the Baltic is dead. It's very dead. That's what people always, basically, that's the perception.
Yes, and that fish from the Baltic Sea can get poisons, and we should not eat them. We cannot swim in the Baltic Sea because it's very polluted. So children and teenagers are able to name which countries are located in the Baltic Sea region, mention the names of the oceans, but are unable to say how the Baltic Sea affects them or how they affect the Baltic Sea. And my opinion, they don't realize how important the ocean is to them. And it provides us with oxygen and food. Most often they mention holidays and tourism, water sports, and eating fish. And the Polish curriculum.
I'm sorry to cut in from the workshops that we've run in the institute with different stakeholders. Basically, it is obvious that it's 3S: sea, sun, sand. That's the perception of the Baltic and Poland among different stakeholders. Okay, thank you very much. And Anka, how about you? Would you say something about Constanta and Romania?
Yes, thank you. First of all, I want to thank you to all of you that you are being here. My name is Anca Panait from my student NGO from Constanța, Romania. And coming back to your question, speaking about ocean awareness, I will divide the idea in two directions. First, the ocean awareness in my city and in my region, Constanța being on the coastal area of the Black Sea. I will say that some of the people are aware and some are not. If we are speaking about teacher children that are doing and implementing several activities and joining to our public event that we are organizing during the year, they have this level of awareness. They know about the ocean, they know about the importance and how to protect the ocean in their daily life. Also, the media, it's very active before, during, and after summer, because they are very interested in our marine litter monitoring and to see the difference between spring and autumn and to see how the touristic period of the year affect. And in the other way, I will go to the people that are coming from the country, to the people that are not living in the region near to the Black Sea. And here we saw during the time the fact that some of them are aware, but they are aware in their daily life because they are living near to a water or to a river. And, many, if I'm not wrong, around 85% of the rivers are going to the Danube and Danube in the sea. And they are aware about this fact and the fact that no matter where they are living, they have an impact. And on the other side, we have the people that they're trying to protect the Black Sea only when they are coming on the coastal area, not in their daily life. So this is the short idea.
Thank you very much, Mark. you're sort of out of the competition because originally you're from UK and you are the ocean nation, right? So I would expect that there's quite a good perception of the importance of the ocean.
I think, as Anka was saying, it's a mixed bag, and I fear the largest portion of the population follow very much 3 S's, the sun, sea, and sand approach, and are not really conscious of the key part that the ocean plays in our lives. However, definitely there's I think a minority who are very aware of the sea and the impact. And of course, Britain loves to think of itself as an island nation. And we think we are this island surrounded by sea. And it's maybe this perception of the sea as something more defensive from us. And there isn't the recognition of the positive impact it brings. So a very mixed bag. I really, as I hinted at in the presentation, I would really like to see a much stronger awareness. And I think we can and should do a lot more to raise that in the UK, because it still is woefully lacking. And I said within the financial community, I think most of them have very little idea about the oceans and the opportunities and needs there. So I'm a bit pessimistic, unfortunately.
Fortunately. Isn't it amazing? You know, we all are fascinated by the fact that we live on the blue planet, 70%, blah, blah, blah. You look at the globe, it's blue. But at the same time, we take the ocean, the sea for granted. It's always been there. It's endless, as I mentioned in my introductory talk. We take it for granted. And we don't really want to try to understand. We are all fascinated, and I would dare to say that in every country, the young people know more about forests, which is fantastic and very important, and how the forests function. And we don't really care about the ocean because why? That's very strange. Thank you very much for this part of the discussion, and we will switch to question number 2. So, since we have this, let's say, discussed the state of the awareness, how to build the awareness or increase the awareness about the importance of the ocean among people who live in various parts of the world. And here I will give the floor to Anka first, because she has a short presentation about a modern approach towards the increase of the awareness. Anka, Katarina, and Isabella are partners in the Earth Games for Youth EU. I'm sorry, I'm reading from your background, Katarina. It's an Erasmus project that provides a new approach to how to increase the awareness. So Anka, if you could share your presentation with us, and then we can jump into the discussion on that and wider discussion, that would be fantastic. I don't know, Aina, do you have the presentation? I will stop sharing then.
Yes, Timon, thank you. So Anna will help me with sharing the presentation. And thank you for this nice introduction of the project. And I just want to add the fact that together with Isabella from Today We Have and Katarina from Slovak Eco Quality, we have one more partner from Armenia, UniGrow. So we are 4 institutions in this very nice Erasmus project, which are heavily involved, all of us, in educational and environmental activity in our country, but also international, how you can see also through this project. And related to the project, I want to add the fact that the Earth Game for Youth project, it's focused
I'm sorry,
on
Anka, but for at the moment I cannot see the presentation. Is it me or?
No, I think it's something from
Okay.
Anna, but
I'm trying.
You're fighting with, okay, okay.
You can go with
Alright.
the presentation, and when we'll have also the visual, we will have maybe. Yeah, so speaking about the project, maybe now.
Can you see it? No, probably not.
Nope, but there is
No.
hope. It says that it should appear in a second.
It's okay.
It's written that I have started sharing, but I cannot see anything. I don't know. Okay, I
Nope.
will try once again.
Sure.
And I can go with a little story about this project, the fact that all of the organization and the representatives, we are people that we are loving the sea and the environment. And our idea also started from another Erasmus project. So it's something continuous in this program. And I'll go with speaking about the project, the Games for Youth project, which is focused on the development of earth competencies among young Europeans. And it tackles knowledge, skills, and attitudes toward reducing global and climate change impact, and provide a pathway for a smooth transition from policies, which we know that can be very long, very hard to understand, to make them more easy and more consumable for youngsters. What we are doing exactly, we provide the youth work sector with a new framework of competence, a set of interactive games and educational program, which will address a wide array of environmental issues from various perspectives.
Excuse me, Anka. Anya, maybe I can try to share it from my computer because I have the presentation open.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know.
I'm
why
sorry,
it's
Anka,
not
to interrupt you.
functioning.
Yeah, it's okay.
Things like this happen. Okay, let's see. Can you see it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'll have to be switching slides, right?
Yeah, you can go to the third one.
The third one, just
Yeah,
a
this is very nice.
second.
And you can see here in the picture all the people that are involved in this project. It's actually our first picture in this project.
Now
Another
that's
one.
a little girl, and now we have.
Yeah, what we are doing, I started to speak. Actually, we are developing a framework of earth competencies. We are building a set of competence related to sustainability and sustainable development, environmentally and conscious behavior. And we are using different methods and tools that are carefully designed and co-created by educational experts. Also, we are developing a series of games, an interactive games that will help us with this way to understand and to make the youths more, let's say, aware about the EU policies, because will be more easy for them to understand these policies. And also the Educating World Changer program, an educational program that will include several materials also for youth workers, but also for the youth that they can use. In the end, we will have several materials. You can go to the next one. We will have this competence in a 3 key area. Also for educational games, tackling with plastic pollution, industry and impact on the climate and environment and people life, human nature and well-being, and also ocean literacy. These games will be various, will be diverse. Each partner is developing one different game, a coloring book, some cards, some board games, depend which idea the partner choose. And actually now we are in processing of testing the set of competence with experts and also with youth in some focus group in all of the partner country, and working at these games. So in the future, in the next month, we'll be able also to start to test these games with the public. And in the end, we'll have also an educational program tackling with environmental education. We'll have one workbook and a guide for educators who will implement this program. And how I said, this will be accessible on the website, also on Erasmus website. So all these materials will be available online for all the ones that are interested in using this. And in the end, the project is fully innovative, so bringing a unique combination of these methods and learners. And we are very, very happy to be part of this project. And for sure, we'll keep you updated with the activities that we are doing, and also looking now at the participants and seeing that we have here some teachers that I recognize the name from Romania. For sure, they will be informed about our future activities and they will be involved in these ones.
That's the last slide. Yeah, I'll thank you. Well, right. Okay, thank you. So I think you created a nice background for the further discussion, because we have basically covered more or less all aspects of modern approach. But Gerhard, would you like to add something from yourself?
Yes. I mean, what in general, when we try to address environmental issues to the general public, there is a certain fraction of the general public very well aware of, also informed, and they also coming to whatever roundtable discussions, reading related news or watching TV on this topic. But the real question is how to get out of this bubble and how to address and bring this across to people who are not really into this yet, or who basically also ignore that there is something like environmental change, or that one should be aware of that, and how to make the world more sustainable. And I think this is a big challenge. And there we have to really come up with some positive aspects, not that one should not do this or not do that. Like having all the sustainability issues negatively toned. You should not drive a car, you should not do this, but more bring the positive sides to it. And I think this helps to make them thinking also about that. That maybe it is worthwhile to try to get cars more out of the cities, for example, like in Vienna, that this increases their living conditions, to have more green in the cities, which is good for the kids, and having more freely available space, not space just occupied by cars, which are standing most of the time anyway around and not being driven. But I think this is the main challenge, to get things positively across, so that one is really catching also the attention of people who are not already convinced that we have to take care to live more in a sustainable way. And this is I think the big challenge.
Yes, that's definitely an issue for all of us. And Mark, maybe you have some comments how to change it. We're in the middle of the UN Ocean Decade, which started in 2021, and I really appreciate our collection of speakers here, because we have researchers, we have Mark, you from business, we have educators. So this is exactly what I think we should be doing. We should be talking in groups, multidisciplinary groups, interdisciplinary groups, because ocean is multi and interdisciplinary. So Mark, would you add something to this?
Yeah.
How to increase the awareness?
Maybe I'm not quite sure about the how, but I think one of the key groups we need to touch and reach out to are the policymakers, because probably the only, let's say, policymakers or governmental people who are worried about the oceans and the impact on oceans are the very small Pacific Island states and one or two others. I think in Europe, and maybe there's a Brit, I can say this, we need the EU to act. It would be rather nice if there was a commissioner for water or a commissioner for oceans or something. We seem to have commissioners in the EU for all sorts of stuff, but who has water, who has oceans on their agenda? So this is obviously a very small group, but I would suggest that we need to get some of the like-minded people and maybe a cross-disciplinary group to actually start positively identifying interested policymakers, governmental people, ministers, whoever, also including media. It's great with Isabella, we have journalists here, but to reach out to other like-minded journalists to really mobilize these resources and not campaign, but increase the awareness that there is, appeal to the politicians. There are votes in water, there are votes in the oceans, that people are interested in this. And somebody who actually took a stand on some of these points we're talking about, there is an opportunity there. Appeal to their self-interest, frankly, but reach out to policymakers would be my suggestion. Quite how we do that, we probably need a working groups to address that. But I think that's an opportunity that's sadly missing at the moment.
I fully agree, but how to reach these guys? They think in terms of 4-year perspective, and that's the killer for us, because 4 years we have the IPCC scenarios that reach beyond 4 years, and there are scenarios. And from my experience with members of European Parliament or working in the UN, these people want numbers, precise numbers, and no one who is a respected researcher will give a precise number in perspective of 2030 or 2040. We can talk about scenarios, and that's a bit of our weakness, but I fully agree that decision makers are the key. Gerhard, would you, because I can see you are getting ready to say something.
Yeah, well, I'm not so optimistic about addressing this to policymakers. Actually, I was bringing this forward, also the SDG 14, like sustainable use of the ocean, for example, to the Austrian Parliament or members of the Parliament. And I was also participating in roundtable discussions with politicians. And actually what I heard from them is actually that it is up to us, this is what they suggested to the researchers, making the general public sensitive to the issue so that the politicians have the feeling that the general public wants to have that.
Oh
and
my.
then they would do it. So unfortunately, politics at the moment, also not on the European level, are really in for taking these steps leading towards sustainable use of ocean or whatsoever, because they want to win the next elections, and this is typically a 4-year term. And one can nicely see that what the European Commission puts forward, like marine protected areas till 2030, 30% should be protected areas, the same on land. Restoration projects, 40% or 30% till 2030, 40% till 2040. And the individual countries, the members, the representatives of the individual European countries said no. And this is the problem, that on the European Commission level, there are suggestions made which are very useful, but individual countries then say no, and then it's out of the question. And this is what we have now. That there are no commitments for protected areas on land and also not at sea.
Well, I think that communication, proper communication, effective communication is crucial. Look what happened with Green Deal, which makes perfect sense. But basically, we are talking about, well, maybe we should not have it, or maybe we should delay the introduction of the Green Deal. And
yeah, exactly. Because
people just have the misconception about the consequences of the Green Deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Katerina, would you like to?
Yeah,
add something?
I was thinking very much about what Mark and Gerhard were saying, and I had this in my mind a lot, going through different volunteering experience and development instructing jobs around the world, in the third world countries, as we call them, or how we used to call them. And what I just wanted to bring a little light to the spectrum, because what I came to believe, and what our organization believes as well, is to build it from a different perspective. That's why I chose to go for education and for working with youth and young adults. But our projects, for example, youth participation projects, are the way where I see some kind of hope, you know, like we have these green youth change makers and Green Triangle, and all of that is young people who are getting involved in activities, and then they try to go to policymakers and try to push it. So I see very much point in engaging youth in hackathons, bringing them to the hands-on actions, bringing them to discussions with policymakers, you know, and inspiring them to take the careers towards, I don't know, sustainability in the private sector, in the policymaking decision sphere, or in the NGO or environmental sphere. So we try to sort of create a support for the youth. Many of these people who went through the past youth participation projects are now leading their own initiatives or projects or startups. And this is where I see the kind of hope for some tiny push. Because as I see it, we cannot, or at least it doesn't function for us in Slovakia, that we would push some huge change upon the whole society. So where we believe, also in Slovak equality, is to work separately on small communities and bring the inspired youth to do something different. You know, they find it cool, they find it that they can make profit out of it, they can make a great career, they can do something good for themselves and for the planet. I believe as long as we make it sound for them, it can be in the long term a very good run for even influencing the policymakers. Because yeah, when I think about influencing the policymakers, as Mark or Gerhard said, it makes me really anxious, because it seems like a lost, hitting the wall. So that's where I reorient towards youth, where there I see some spark and some possibility towards some change.
Thank you very much. So Isabella, about working with youth, you have some good examples as well. If you could add from your backyard.
Yes, of course. The title of today's webinar is "We All Live by the Sea," and since 2017, this is also the motto of I Live by the Sea international youth photo and film contest. And no matter how far from the sea you live, next to the beach or far away in the mountains, you still have a greater impact on it. And it is up to you whether you create a positive relationship with the sea or have advanced impact on it. And the philosophy behind the contest is to create a platform with which enables exchange of information for all interested in the ocean. And first of all, following the principle, act locally, think globally. And we strive to create an international society whose members believe in the needed to in UN Sustainable Development Goals, which special emphasis on marine issues. And the contest is an official partner of the United Nations Decade of Ocean Science and Sustainable Development. And many scientific institutions, NGOs from all over the world are involved in the project. And all submitted
including
work,
Mare Nostrum from the beginning, basically.
yes, Mare Nostrum, and including Slovakia, Armenia, and a lot of them. And all submissions works are evaluated by international judges, and due to a variety of options for Constance, the panel involves experts presenting various art and science areas. And to enter, the participant just send a photo or film of your seas along with a description of story. And since 2017, we have organized 15 exhibitions in 8 countries. And since 2017, over 1,500 young people from 28 countries from around the world have participated in the contest. And the contest is a perfect example that young people can learn from each other. And this year we are waiting for application until May 6th. And all that information and the entry can be found on the competition website todayweHave.com.
Thank you very much. So this is an example of involving young people from different parts of the world. But as a matter of fact, in your joint project, the Earth Games for EUs, I always have the problem with saying the full name of the project, and the acronym is even more complicated. Sorry, ladies, but that's my problem. But
yes, it's your problem.
it's dedicated to young people. But as a matter of fact, it does involve entire families, and I think this is even a deeper value in that, because I fully agree that we have to introduce ocean climate change into the curricula, and we have to invest in young people. But as a matter of fact, we don't have time to wait until they're ready to vote properly and take actions. We have to act now. That means that we also have to act with the adults. So I would say that this combination of your Earth Games, by involving the families, that's a really good example of how to act, and maybe then we will have sort of like indirect influence on decision makers, because we will choose the right ones, if there are any. Okay, so thank you for this round, and I will go to the third question here. What resources can various institutions and organizations provide to support effective knowledge transfer? What format is most effective? To some extent, we discussed the format, because the contest, the Earth Games for EUs, is, in my opinion, a good format. But Gerhard, maybe you would like to start, because from my experience working in the Institute of Oceanology across Europe, and not only, we lack properly trained communication teams. It's usually people like me, still active scientists, who feel the need to share knowledge, but we're not trained to do the best way of communication. So I am aware of my deficiencies, but many people are not, and they still go to the public, and sometimes it's worse than if they didn't.
Well, I'm also aware of my deficiencies in this aspect. but nevertheless, I'll try, and I use my scientific reputation I have in Austria as a member of the Austrian Academy of Sciences and so on, to bring this across the public. But what we definitely lack is the PR tools and the budget, what, for example, ministers and ministries have, and with all the PR people. So what we need is really journalists with a really good education in this aspect. And we do have in Austria some which are really addressing these issues and bringing this across and digesting the problem so that it is easily readable for the general public. Because this is something scientists apparently and quite often really lack, that they cannot really explain the importance of the ocean, for example, to the general public if you live in Austria, or why should we cut down on the CO2 emissions? Because then people say, well, Austria is a small country, it does not help if we reduce it and all the others don't. So you need to have proper answers to that, why this is necessary, that every individual can contribute, but only when a lot of these people are doing it, then it really has an effort. If an individual person is doing it, it does not have an effort, an effect. But we need to have all the people getting involved. And with newspapers, and I mean, sustainability issues are sort of on the agenda. And so there is more and more people who are convinced that this is really something we need to take care of. On the other hand, I mean, with all the polls for the EU elections and so on, there seems to be quite a movement of ignoring these issues. So across Europe, actually, across European unions, I mean, there are, I mean, it is expected that the far right would gain votes in the upcoming elections. And they are typically ignoring climate change issues and ignoring all these issues. So on one hand, we are doing quite well, and this has also been shown in the discussion of the previous speaker, in engaging the young generation, but at the same time, some people are moving actually towards direction, ignoring essentially all these problems and ignoring that there is something like climate change and so on.
That's horrible. Anka, from the perspective of an educational or environmental NGO, what resources would you expect in Romania to help you with your mission?
Wow. So during the year, we use different resources, and depending on the public, work with some of them, with others, no. But important is to adjust the method that you use with the public. For example, with children or young people, the most interactive one are the games, of course, but also the games show that we're very nice also with adults, because the adults are also a little, let's say, a kid more girl. And also workshops. I know it's something very common, very familiar that we are doing in all of the project, but depend a lot how is built the workshop. If you are using a non-formal method and make it that workshop more friendly and easy for the participants, it's a very nice resource, not doing only PPT presentations. That it's not a very, very good one. And public events. If we want to go to the general public, the most interactive one and the useful one were the public events that we are organizing with the occasion of several environmental days. And also in that one, we are using games to be more easy to go to the general public and to engage them and make them aware and show them exactly the example. If you are doing this in your daily life, you can protect the sea and you don't need to be stressed, or because stress, I saw that it's something that people say, okay, but I don't have time to protect the sea. If you are doing the correct things, doing your daily life, you will protect the sea and you even didn't know, and you are not spending time.
Yeah, perfect. Isabella, the Polish NGO educational NGO perspective.
I think we should build above all communication teams. Teams consisting of experts from various fields, scientists, educators, politicians, journalists, and members of NGOs. And institutions in Poland should create special structures for communication with general public. And this should be a people who convey sometimes very complex knowledge in an easy, accessible way. And not every scientist, even the best one, has the ability to convey his knowledge and research in an accessible way for general public. And therefore, the solution case us to move away from the master and disciples model. And scientists, institutions should open up to visitors more often, show more often that they are due and why it is so important for us, for general public, for people from support, and to be active in broadly understood social media and not only on Facebook. And supporting city and science is also very important element. And it is worth mentioning here the green bureaucracy. That is the importance of urban public administration in education activities. Officials who undergo training, understand problems, and want to prevent them.
Okay, but you know, the escaping from the system master and the followers, let's say, it is amazing. We both of us, Isabella and myself, we were at the UN Decade conference in Barcelona, and believe it or not, but most of the presentations, most of the workshops were in this form. 90 minutes of on paper interactive workshop, and the interaction was basically listening to a number of presentations. So there's something wrong still with the communication. Katarina, would you, from the Slovak NGO, educational, environmental NGO perspective?
Definitely, thank you. I very much agreed with what all you said, but I in particular wanted to build on what Gerhard and Isabella said about, first of all, opening up the space for public to really engage with the topic, as I believe we should have more common platforms and places for active engagement, because I don't know how it is in your countries, but in Slovakia, we have a lot of small initiatives, river cleaning, water protection, forestry protection. There's a lot of initiative, NGOs, civic engagements who are trying to do their bits. But we somehow miss the umbrella, you know, we somehow all do our little parts, but we need that communication transfer. I really believe in this cross-section collaborations, because we have the tools, someone has better knowledge. I really believe that we should find some platforms, some festivals, some forums where to bring this knowledge, do it in a fun, engaging way, and really bring all the public there in the same time. And I was thinking on what Gerhard said on how to do it in the way that media would be centering it, because we all know how strong and powerful and influential the media can be. We have a lot of topics in each country where the media is highlighting it, super focusing its cameras, and that's the hot topic. So maybe the question could be, okay, how to create a platform to cover all these cross-section collaborations, how to make it hot for the media, how to make us interesting enough without climate change catastrophe or whatever pollution that we cannot survive. So this is my sort of way of thinking, even for within our NGO, what to do to create this hub, to make it visible and to draw people in to say, okay, but this is something I want to engage with. So how to do this is my question, or, you know, future job.
Probably marketing would be helpful here, whatever that means. I'm very happy, Mark, that you're with us, because very often when we talk about environmental issues, it's the corporations, the business that is responsible for everything. And I think it's up to us, the consumers, to make the choices, and then let's say we can support the corporation or finish the corporation, so to speak. So it's not, for me, it's not one-to-one that the corporations are fully responsible. It's our responsibility and our choices. But of course, the corporations and business is hugely important and influential. So but we cannot just live in two parallel, separate worlds. So I'm very happy that you're with us, and maybe you can give your business-oriented perspective on what resources the institutions can bring and what we can do together.
Yes, I would definitely add communication is really key and important, and reaching out to journalists, and I said probably through them to policymakers. The private sector resources are out there and can be mobilized, and where I touched on the financiers, there's money out there, whether you go to the absolute for-profit venture capitalists to the more philanthropic Bill Gates type of approach, as he's now changed to. There are lots of companies that are dealing, maybe not in water cleaning, but use water. Think of the shipping container companies. I think we need to collectively see how we can find some of those companies that are involved in using water, but are not really maybe putting back everything, or would be interested in putting more into supporting initiatives and creating financial structures to allow this to happen. So I think there is a possibility, there are very real possibilities that we could work on and develop that. I'm just slightly unclear at this working level. You have, as we've just been saying, a lot of disparate groups and how there's some coordination, but I really would like to see that of some groupings of interested, like-minded companies who would actually provide the resources to do the education, to reach out to journalists, to influence people, not necessarily if they wanted to invest in things, that would be great, but to actually invest in that infrastructure. And it's a very small amount of percentage of their profits and turnover, which could be devoted to this. And I don't think there's been much approach to them. Again, everyone takes the oceans for granted. We need to stop doing that.
Thank you very much. I suppose we reached the end of the webinar. I will share briefly. I was taking notes while we're talking, and some very ad hoc take-home messages. So please raise your hands or disagree some of these positive messages. I think we definitely have to go with the positive message. Again, when we deal with the very dead Baltic, then nobody cares about dead bodies, yeah, or you don't want to touch it, or the best you want to do is kick it, right? So positive message. We shouldn't be escaping from discussing difficulties, problems, and issues. But in a sense, I think we cannot start with like, we're dying. Yeah, no. I took out from our discussion that we should have sort of a sexy vision of the environment, in a sense, like, that it should be fashionable to take care of the environment. And that's why I said about the marketing. Pretty much good marketing specialists can sell basically anything. So why not certain mindset change that would lead us to appreciate environment and do not discuss like, it's the responsibility of the big corporations, or it's the responsibility of China. What can I do? It should be like, my behavior is such that, others should, maybe envy is not the right word, but follow me because it's cool. And teamwork and interdisciplinary team, I should say, and multidisciplinary, like we have this discussion here, I think that would be absolutely a must for the improvement of our attitude towards the environment, and especially in this case, ocean and the use of water. So that would be my take-home messages. Maybe you would like to add something to that, or we all agree that this is the best we can have. So the floor is yours if somebody wants to add something. And I guess, Anya, we can take some questions from the audience if we don't have. Do we have anything in the chat?
There hasn't been anything in the chat, but if anybody wants to ask questions, then
yeah, we're open.
It's still possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess not. So what? I think we completed the task today and the mission for today. It's the Earth Day today, and we hope that you enjoyed the meeting. We hope that you learned something and got inspired, mostly. Anya, so
yeah. So thank you very. Exactly. We all live by the sea. That's the best conclusion from today's webinar. Yes, so I wanted to thank you very much for your amazing presentations and for inspiring me and other participants for sure as well. Thank you for sharing information about all the projects you do, about all the research you do, about both the practitioners' point of view as well as researchers and educators' point of view. It was great to hear also opinions and ways of dealing with the subject from different points of view. And what can I say? I hope you will continue to raise this awareness among different groups of people, and among children, among older people, among adults and older people. So I guess this topic is very important, and everybody has some impact on the sea, because in the end, we all live by the sea.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And please feel free to contact any of us or through Anya, and we'll be very happy to provide some extra information or get involved with workshops for you, both online or in person. I think we have to do extra work, because we don't really have time to wait until things will change. We have to make the change. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so thank you everybody for your
Thank you very
attention
much.
and
And
maybe see
Let-
you soon.
let's be in
Thank
touch.
you.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Thank you.